From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Mayama Aslan, that is Corey S. Clark, senior writer for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Warchant 30 is the promo code. This is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come on, come explore the world of coffee. Midnight shift, tumblers, espresso-covered chocolate beans or chocolate-covered espresso. I mean, anything you could possibly want for the Christmas giving holiday season. Available at DeLunaCoffee.com. Check them on out. Corey Clark's here, everybody, as you obviously see on your screen. This is your Friday podcast. Enjoy. Corey, take it over. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I hope you're doing well. I got my lighting, I think, fixed now with my camera. Hope everybody sees that it's not quite as dark as it has been, which is probably bad news, actually, for everyone. But you should be able to see me better. So you're welcome, everyone. And I hope you hear me just fine on this sweet microphone I got right in front of me.
It's perfect, man. You look pro for once.
I know. It feels good.
Yeah. Well, don't touch anything. Why would you touch it?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to light it up more, but okay, we're good. We're good. Sorry,
everything is perfect, and then he starts touching
my fault.
stuff.
I get fidgety, man. I get fidgety.
Goodness. I know people always comment about the rap you do with Ira, which shout out. I don't want to give out a coach's name, but a coach yesterday when we were speaking to the assistant coaches went to Corey. Like, man, he's like, I love watching you after the games. He's like, I got to watch you guys after every game. He's like, I love your videos. Cracks me up. So they're out there. They watch.
Yeah,
it.
and I was like, what about all my insightful analysis?
Yeah.
What do you mean that cracks you up? What's the matter with you, man? But yeah, that was very nice. All the coaches were nice.
Yeah.
They were there. We like these guys. We really do.
Yeah. Think I'm funny like a clown? Am I funny?
Not Dillingham. We don't care about him anymore. But all the other guys that stayed, we do appreciate you.
Yeah. Special team, special players. I guess you can find them in Eugene too. Though, everyone's got their own special. We're all unique, right? We're all unique in our own special.
That's right.
Shout out to Rob Rathbun. He's got a little bit of sour grapes. He says he thinks that I should remove. He says I should remove this.
I mean, it's very, very fitting. I had not made that connection until just now. That's very, very fitting. But I agree with Rob. You should go ahead and get that. You should. We got to come up with something else.
He says remove that. He hopes Travis doesn't get his money. And too bad the NCAA doesn't have the wherewithal to investigate. I'm giving you folks that are driving, listening to the podcast, the PG version of Rob's PG-13 message. Thanks, Primetime. But Rob, as always, just comes through, doubling to the gap, getting us started here. We love him. We appreciate you, man.
Just play the horn for him.
Yeah, that's what he gets, man. Thanks to Gene, Tom, Michael, Austin, you, myself, Jeff. Apologies if I forgot anyone. Just
Ira.
The absolute glue that keeps it all together. It keeps everything moving. Ira Schofel.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you, though, Rob.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you very much. Now, I certainly don't. It's going to be interesting. The NCAA will figure this out eventually. They will come up with some regulations when it comes to this. But I certainly don't agree that I hope Travis Hunter doesn't get his money because, look, man, we're all adults. Florida State had a package ready to go for Travis Hunter. So did Georgia. So did A&M. So that's the deal when you have the number one player in the country. You have that's the reality. You have to have some sort of financial package with sponsorships and corporations. And I can promise you they had something lined up for Travis Hunter. So he was getting his money either way. He just rumored to have gotten a lot more from where the decision he made yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, we won't have to talk too much about it. Old Dad says FSU needs to work the portal quickly. It may be the only way to talk Aslan off the ledge. I'm fine, man. I'm fine, Old Dad. I appreciate you showing concern, but they do.
Well,
I mean, they have to hit the portal, and they have to.
They got a pretty nice one today.
Yeah,
tell them about it, Aslan.
Caden Lyles, he was the highest-rated prospect in the 2017 class for Wisconsin. This guy's a Power 5, Big Ten offensive lineman. Michael Langston says center might be his future.
Yeah.
Which I thought we all liked Maurice Smith. I mean, you can upgrade. You're allowed to do that sort of stuff, but I think he's just a 1-year rental. So I don't know. Maybe Maurice moves to one of the guard spots. You like what you got with Dylan, and maybe Thomas Schrader comes up with Caden Lyles, a legit prospect, top 150 on some recruiting services. PFF not that great, but you know what? I'm with Corey on some of these things. We can't look at PFF like it's gospel. Just take it. Just take the guy, right? Take the talent, take the proven human growth. I shouldn't say human growth. The grown man. That's what I was trying to say. Take the grown man. Can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, and he graduated in 17, which puts him at about, probably 22, 23 years old, and he's going to have an impact immediately. He was on the Remington Award watch list to start this season for Wisconsin, but lost his job. So then I think announced his transfer intentions in October. But look, man, he's at Wisconsin. There's no shame. Those guys, it's like Notre Dame, really. Like Dylan Gibbons never really played at Notre Dame, and he comes to Florida State and is the best lineman on the team. Much to my well, I was wrong. I don't know how else to say it. I was wrong about Dylan Gibbons back then. I didn't know what kind of impact he would have just because we had never seen him play at this level. This guy actually has like 15 or 16 starts in his career at Wisconsin on that offensive line in that system. So you have to imagine he's a mover. Like he moves people out of the way. And he's a grown man. He's 22, 23 years old. And yeah, will probably play center, which makes that's an upgrade. I mean, look, Maurice Smith, I think we do like his future. That's an incredible beard. That looks painted on. That doesn't even look real.
It's amazing. And shout out to him. Look at him. He retweeted this, even though they spelled his name wrong. They spelled his name wrong, but he's a good sport. He's like, I'm still going to tweet it. I'm going to use it. Maybe that's why his arms are folded, but carry on.
Right. Yeah. It looks like he painted on some fur. That's a crazy beard. That's really impressive. But yeah, that's a big get, man. I mean, he's a 4-star. Maybe you call him as a 3.5 star because he's what he's done at this level, but he immediately upgrades that position. And I would imagine he's at least penciled in to be your starting center, maybe guard. We'll see. We'll see what else they do in the portal, but to get a guy from Wisconsin that's played and started 15 or 16 games, at that school is a big deal. That to me that's how you start off the transfer portal. That is a really big get right away to get a guy that can come in at a huge position of need and play immediately.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So they started off well last night, obviously, closing strong with Julian Armella. Then they were able to build off that and get Caden Lyles. Unfortunately, they were not able to get Miles Frazier from FIU. He committed to LSU earlier on Thursday, but hey, man, again, can't get them all. You can't get them all. You can't get all.
That's a big one. Getting a kid from Wisconsin is a guy that's ready to go, has a year left. You put him next to Gibbons, and you already have maybe two of the oldest offensive linemen, other than BYU players. You have two of the oldest offensive linemen in the Power 5. Gibbons is a 6-year guy, I think, or a 5th-year guy. This guy's a 5th-year guy. The experience and just the size and the talent is seemingly a pretty nice upgrade already.
Yeah. What do you think about this guy who put his name in the portal earlier? Trey Palmer, LSU. Apparently he got 3 touchdowns, about 300 yards receiving this past season. Also does a little thing called returns kicks. So I would like for them to go all in on this guy. I'm knowing nothing else about him. Please.
I mean, a 5-star. Yeah. He was the 20th ranked player in the country. Yeah, go for him. I'm sure they're going to extend. They're going to reach out because they desperately need some help at wide receiver, as we all know. I think he had 30 catches for about 300 yards this year, and all 3 of those touchdowns. And yeah, was I think their primary punt returner. I don't know if he returned kicks as well, but I think he was their primary punt returner. That would be, again, you struck out completely at wide receiver in the early portion of the signing period. That would be and he'd be young. You'd still have him probably for at least 2 more years. That's a huge step up. Aslan, it looks like you got a DM if you want to go ahead and open that up and see what that's about.
That's all right. It's all right. By the way, real recognizes real, as the kids say. Corey had a great line in his column. If you haven't read it, you should be a member of warchant.com. We spoke about it, I think, off air. Ralph, Hawaii.
No, that was on air. I was patting myself on the back on air. Yeah.
There you go. Canary in the gold mine. Not the coal mine, the gold mine.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know where the inspiration comes from, but I don't, I just appreciate it. I just thank whoever I have to thank above for giving me that kind of ability. But it felt good. It felt good to come up with one of those.
Weldon Taylor's here, everybody. Give it up.
WT.
Post a comment, post a question. Well, then we're here for you, man. We'll answer it. I assure you of it. We got our guy.
Thank you very much, Weldon. Thank you very much.
I know Michael doesn't like answering these. I know you don't like answering them either. But it's
sweet.
West of the Villages. Maybe, if you're Ron Dugans, are you updating your LinkedIn? Are you kind of reaching out maybe to some people, seeing how their staff is looking? Or do you have to go full? If you check it out, I think I'm the only person that tried to get him yesterday when we.
Yeah, I watched the video, buddy.
I'm saying to the people out there to check out the interview with him, but he didn't seem all that unbothered. I don't know him if that's him putting the brave face on. I mean, Trey Palmer would be a good start. He's got to figure something out here. Actually, that's the thing. I don't even know. Like, do you give him till February to try to start adding and getting some wide receivers? I do wonder how he's being evaluated right now by this coaching staff, by Mike Norvell, really.
Well, look, that's the number one role of most assistant coaches. Certainly, a wide receivers coach is you've got to bring guys on the camp. You've got to get guys on the roster. That recruiting is job one. Nobody would say that Dugans has done a good job in that department since he's gotten here, which is weird because at Miami, you looked at the guys he had at Miami and you're like, man, okay, he's got some dudes down there. They were never very good, like as a team, but he always seemingly had a couple of receivers that could really play. And just that has not materialized here in 2 short years. And then this year, look, we'll see. There's still 6 weeks left, and the portal opens up everything. He might get some great players in the portal. It's amazing how much better Papuchis was as a defensive ends coach this year, thanks to the portal. So if he goes in the portal and gets some guys, then yeah, I would think he's safe. If they have trouble bringing in wide receivers, of course, I don't know. I'm not in the inner circle with Dugans and Norvell to know if his job is in jeopardy. But I can't imagine that anybody that's has not gotten players on the campus like Dugans hasn't would feel completely secure right now. So it's a big 6 weeks for him. To the portal's wide open now, and you still got 6 weeks thereabouts, right, to recruit the high school kids. You got to bring some guys in, man. Look, man, you've got to get in some instant impact guys. Like, don't just bring in numbers to bring in numbers. Don't bring in I was trying to think of guys from like the end of the Jeff Bowden era that were just guys. Jocelyn Shaw. You don't need those kind of people, man. You need guys that can go make plays. They can play immediately in one role or another. And if they're portal guys, can start. That's what you can't just bring in guys. You got to bring in difference makers, because it's been an abomination at that position at this school for a long time. Like, who's been the best receiver since Rashad? Auden Tate, Tamorian Terry?
Yeah. 2
guys. One was a 7th round pick. One's not in the NFL at all.
Travis Rudolph was okay, but he had like the 2 big games, right? Like, he had the 2 games where he caught like 200 yards in those games. But
he was a 5-star guy that did not live up that billing. Erman Lane was certainly a 5-star guy. Now, these were before Dugans. These were pre-Dugans. But George Campbell was another 5-star guy that didn't do anything here. Like, they've gotten some guys high school wise that were ranked high but never materialized. And it's been since Rashad and Kelvin. Tamorian had a nice year and a half, really. But, we all saw how his career fizzled out and ended. So they've really struck out at wide receiver now for the better part of a decade. And it's maddening. That just should not happen in a place like Florida State. Linebackers and receivers, you should always have them. This is Florida State, and it's just odd that both those positions have been had such a dearth of talent here recently.
Yeah, I think somebody commented on the podcast from yesterday. I wish I could cite them. Shout out whoever you are, smarter than I am. But I was just saying, basically, it's the state of Florida. Miami has got a new coaching staff. Florida's got a new coaching staff. Yet here's Florida State still unable to sign a receiver.
Right.
And only really one linebacker. They did have a receiver, Devon Mortimer, committed for a long time. He ends up going to Louisville. I guess apparently he said because they stretch the field. Florida State takes some shots. Take shots downfield, Devon, but we'll see you. We'll see you cross the white lines.
Well, and to answer Wes's question, because I think it was who I thought should be the new wide receivers coach. Obviously Dion. Get him on campus. See who he brings with him. But no, look, if they make a change, we'll see. I don't really have any preliminary names. We know who all is out there, but I don't have any preliminary names. So we'll see. But yeah, the thing is, the funny thing about what happened yesterday is it was the most monumental historic flip in the history of college football. There's nothing that even comes close to it, honestly. A kid that's the number one recruit in the country, going to a football powerhouse, the last few years notwithstanding, and then flips to an FCS HBCU on signing day out of nowhere. That's never happened before. I mean, that was just unprecedented. So it painted the whole day as if Florida State had an awful day. And Marvin Jones Jr. going to Georgia. Well, man, they're 12th in the country. They had for being 5-7. Like if we'd have told me and you back in October or late September, hey, Florida State's going to finish with the 12th ranked class in the country on early signing period, you'd be like, well, man, Norvell did a hell of a job. That's a great job. You're 0-4. If you're going to finish with the number 12 class in the country, we would have obviously assumed that Travis Hunter hung on, but they got to number 12 without Travis Hunter, which says it's a pretty good class, and they did hit some needs, specifically on the offensive line. But yeah, that was such a high-profile loss. But when you look at that, Miami's 63rd in the country, Florida's 49th, Clemson's 29th in rankings. Florida State, when it comes to their three rivals, at least through the middle of December, has beaten the brakes off all of them. Now, they were lucky that they had some stability, and all those three schools did not. Two of them made coaching changes. Another one lost their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator, so there's reasons for that. But look, man, they took advantage. They got the 12th ranked recruiting class in the country. Clemson's 29th, Florida's 49th, Miami's 63rd. That's pretty good day for the middle of December. But yes, there still are plenty of holes to fill.
If you're a cynic, Miami's average star rating is 3.5. Florida's star rating is 3.5. Clemson's star rating is average is 3.46, and Florida State's average is 3.59. So, I mean, Miami signed nobody. I mean, Florida signed 10 guys. Miami, I think, signed 8. Yeah, they signed 8. So, and they got Basante and Nigel Kelly, who are two guys that I think most people liked, but still stands. You got number 12 class. The numbers are the numbers. Hey, all NLI isn't bad, or NIL. Look at Kanaya Charlton, one of the offensive lineman signees for the platinum class.
Oh, all right.
Which is really good because they've said Kanaya's probably going to have to shed some weight to get ready, get in shape to play at this level. So why not partner with like a weight loss thing and then do some before after photos? Get yourself in shape, get yourself ready to play, and get some money on the side. I like this win-win.
I mean, just don't turn into Jalen Goss. We don't need him becoming so infatuated with losing weight that he ends up 260 pounds lean. I like the idea of having a huge offensive lineman. Don't go crazy, Kamaya. Lose some weight, put on good weight, but let's not get down to let's not be on one of those diets where it's before and after, and he's holding up a huge pair of jeans that it looks like is a tent. We don't need that, buddy. You got to keep some weight on, man.
Jalen he never was trying to lose weight. He was always trying to gain. It just didn't come on maybe as quickly.
I'm saying that we just don't want him to end up looking like Jalen Goss, like that he gets so, that becomes a lifestyle, Aslan. You know it. You start losing weight, you feel good about yourself, and you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm just going to keep doing this, and you become obsessed with it. Next thing you know, Kamaya's going to be a slot receiver. But don't need it. You need size up front.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Eric Angel dropping $30 in the tip jar. Appreciate you, Eric. Thank you very much, man. Says, what's up, guys? See us in April. He said he might check out for he's taking some time off.
Okay.
I don't believe you. Don't do it, Eric. Come on, man. Maybe for Christmas, New Year's.
Do it for the holidays, sure.
Yeah, but this whole see in April thing, we'll see in January.
Well, maybe he's just talking about there's no real football, but you should at least come back for the next signing day in February. Come back for at least that. Check back in, poke your head up for that. But Eric, we really do appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, he says he's upset though. He needs to take some time off. No, come on, man. You gotta stay strong. Climb. It
was a doozy. That was about as big a gut punch as anybody's ever had on that. I can't even think of another one that would come close. Just because of how it went down. Not just that you lost the number. We always thought that was a possibility until maybe the last month. You always thought it was a possibility that Hunter might flip. You just thought he'd flip to Georgia, which I don't know. Is it better or worse that he made history in the flip?
Yeah,
I don't know how you assess it, but it was such a gut punch that I can understand how people are still upset. And I'm not trying to diminish it. It was a huge loss. But again, that portal's going to be spinning. Next year, this time, that portal will still be spinning. So see what you can do in the meantime.
And again, man, he went 5-7, and you're hanging with the number 1 overall prospect in the nation. That, we were even kind of out kicking coverage there to start off with. But again, the gut punch, obviously, with him picking who he was picking, but it was just, he never wavered. And people are saying, I'm glad, in hindsight or the silver linings that he won't be here. I think that's good because drama is going to follow him. He was pretty drama-free for 2 years. I mean, He committed. He didn't play the game. When people would ask him, he'd say, hey, no cap, I'm going to Florida State. And I think he was planning on going to Florida State probably up until the last, 2 weeks, maybe a month. Maybe even then he was kind of still wavering on it. So he really wasn't all that, much of a prima donna. So, but then again, the way hats and stuff, you got to do it for your documentary. Anywho, let's keep it moving.
Hey, can we speculate real quick? So do you think there was any correlation? So like I said, they had some money, as we all know, just because this is how it works. Florida State, like anybody else in their position, had some sort of sponsorship money deal package awaiting the number 1 player in the country. That's obvious. Georgia would have had the same thing. Texas A&M would have had the same thing, blah, blah, blah. So that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So
Correct.
Sorry, I'm getting all these messages on my computer. So that money's freed up. So is it a coincidence? What happened at the end of last night happened? And maybe what happened this afternoon with a pretty high profile transfer from Wisconsin, that maybe that some moves were made and some finances were slid elsewhere to make sure you covered up some other holes. So it's not going to end up being a blessing because that guy's too good to just say, you don't need him anyway. But they figured out a way to do some things with the money that was left over. I would think it's much like if the Braves don't get Freddie Freeman, if they don't re-sign Freddie Freeman, they'll get a stud reliever maybe, but they better re-sign Freddie Freeman or I'm gonna burn some things down.
Hey, come on! They gave you a World Series championship.
What are you gonna? I mean, quit being a baby and go re-sign Freddie Freeman. Good grief! Even if you overpay, nobody cares.
He's old.
31. He's 32. He's got 4 more years of his prime left.
All right. Apparently, got a burgeoning Hawaii bureau. I assume HI Nole is Hawaii Nole. We got a lot better yesterday. Yeah. What type of stamp can we expect to see on the offense under Alex Adkins? I really only bring this up just so that we do talk about it because it is now official that Alex Adkins is the offensive coordinator. He's still going to remain offensive line coach, if I'm not mistaken, Corey. I haven't seen anything about that changing. Or
that's how it was presented. So yeah, and they're moving the grad assistant Tony Tokars down to be the QB coach. So he takes over as the QB coach. Adkins is promoted to OC, but I think Florida State announced he would still be offensive line / offensive coordinator. That is a lot on somebody's plate. I'm sure there are other people like that out there in the country that do both. That maybe a couple anyway that are offensive line coaches and OCs. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I don't know to answer that question, Hawaii Nole or just High Nole. I don't know because I'm not familiar enough with what he did at Charlotte. I would assume the offense is going to look a lot like it did the past 2 years. It's still Mike Norvell's offense. It's still what he believes in. Maybe a little more physical. Maybe stick with the run a little bit more. But that's just speculation. I don't know that one way or the other, to be honest with you. But he'll have. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot on your plate to be an O-line coach and be in charge of 15 guys. Usually the OC is in charge of the quarterbacks, so it's 3 guys that he's meeting with, not 15, not at 3 different positions with guards, tackles, and centers. So that's a lot to do. But you also really like him, and I think he is a rising star. I think he's an up-and-coming coach in this profession, and you needed to keep him. And if this is what it took, then so be it. Because look at what you just did in recruiting in the offensive line, and you're not done. The portal's still open.
Yeah. So, in case you're wondering, here's a look at what Alex Adkins did at his last stop when he was the OC and O-line coach.
Look at the balance has on it.
So,
look at the balance.
Yeah, man.
203 rushing, 211 passing. That's not bad.
56 total offense, 59th scoring offense. Take that.
Well, look, they're playing in a bear of a conference. What were they third down percentage? 41%, 49th in the country. So not 100th like Dillingham was. So I like that. I like that idea. But yeah, it's going to be, look, Norvell, it's still Norvell's offense. And maybe Norvell goes back to calling plays because it's just, I'm just telling you, when you guys have probably been at games and watched Alex Adkins on the sidelines, an offensive line coach's job it's done in between series. Like that's when he's over there talking to them and he's on the grease board. He's jotting all the things down and telling them things. You know, if you've got the play sheet where you're having to worry about how to out scheme another coach, the defensive coordinator, that's a lot to ask. I'm not saying he can't do it, but maybe his role as the OC is different than the one that Dillingham had. That's, again, just speculation, because being an offensive line coach is so detailed during a game and obviously during the week as well.
Sean Grosvenor, did they
Yes.
get Bless Harris from Lamar? I don't think that's come in yet, but I don't see any reason to think that it's not going to. But from what I understand, he is committed, but he hasn't signed. There hasn't been an LOI coming on him. So, yeah, I mean, you got to tackle with him. You got an interior guy with Lyles. You're building on. You got some pieces there for sure.
Guys with experience. And look, man, it makes everybody better because now, you know, Darius Washington has to beat out Bless Harris. Robert Scott has to beat out Bless Harris. Maurice Smith, if he's going to play, has to beat out a dude that's 23 years old that's played at Wisconsin and started at Wisconsin. It's going to make them all better. And it just gives you better depth, man. Like Adkins was talking about yesterday, they had to cross-train so many guys because when they lost one or two guys, which they inevitably did because they're always banged up on the Florida State offensive line, they just didn't have the numbers to have real talent back there. You have to throw in Brady Scott. God love you, Brady Scott. I hope you have a wonderful marriage. That's not sarcastic. I do. But he's not a very good college offensive lineman at this level. Now you don't have to throw in a Brady Scott. You should have better depth and better talent there. So you can withstand some injuries. Because when they had a couple injuries, the offensive line looked completely different. And like Norvell said, they had, I think in the 12 games this season, they had 11 different starting combinations. So hopefully that can change. Hopefully they can just stay healthy. That'd be a nice change.
Yeah. Brandon Brazier, what's the latest on Destin Hill? You know, we'd make fun of these people on the recruiting chat, Corey, because we just kept falling back on pretty much a news bit that we somehow had gotten, I don't know, in June, that the expectation was he would arrive here in January. Well, I guess now it's been pushed to summer, which, I mean, at this point, I just,
I'm starting to think that Mike Norvell is Destin Hill. And he's like Kaiser Sosatus. He just made us believe there was this kid out in New Orleans that was this incredible receiver. Hang on, he's going to be awesome. And then he just keeps sending it down. Oh, he'll be here in the summer. Actually, some things came up. He'll be here in 2023. It's just going to go on forever. Who knows, man? Who knows? I know that he's said to have been talented. He's said to be really talented, very fast. But, he's to kick it old school. Right now, he's on the Deshaun Platt. He's in the Deshaun Platt camp for me. Like I'm not going to believe he's coming to Florida State and he's an actual thing until he's actually at Florida State and I see him. So whenever that is. But right now, it appears that it's not supposed to be in the spring either. So at some point, just assume he's never coming and then be pleasantly surprised when he does.
Better late than never. Rob's back. Thanks to Ira, he says.
Ira with the $20. You're good, Rob. You're good, buddy. You don't have to. Nobody really remembers Ira. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Man, we got a lot of recruiting questions.
Yeah, man. It's that time of year, Bubba.
Guess we should have seen that one coming.
What did you think they were going to ask about?
I don't know. Just, who's going to start at left guard now that they got the kid from Wisconsin. I mean, listen, Devontae Love Taylor's gone. I would think the Lyles kid, no matter what they haven't projected at playing center, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got to go maybe looking back at his Wisconsin stuff. I guess he was on the Remington watch list, so he's obviously playing center all the time. I just don't. You can't.
Interesting about him.
Down talent, but who's going to fill that spot? I mean, you feel good with Gibbons. You thought you felt good about Maurice Smith in the center. I mean, maybe Maurice can play guard. Maybe he's comfortable there.
Or maybe the Schrader kid is healthy, and because they've talked about him like they really like him a lot, and he did have a full year without getting that's the thing is like some of those like the Robert Scotts in the world and the Darius Washingtons of the world, their bodies are so beat up. How much weight and muscle are they putting on during a season? Probably not a ton. I mean, it's a grind. You put on your weight and muscle from January to July is where offensive linemen should make the most strides. Well, Schrader's had a full year of being able to do this. So hopefully he's big, he's strong, and he can really compete because they do like him. They liked him a lot when he first got here. So I'm sure he's in the running, and they're not done. Like, I think there's other guys out there they're going to try to get to. I think they'll at least get one or two more offensive linemen or try to. And QB coach, It's going to be it's the Tony
Tokars.
Tony Tokars. Sorry, Aslan just put up his profile, his bio a few minutes ago, but they made that official today. Florida State did that he would come down from the box as a GA and be the on-field QB coach.
A lot of internal promotions going on in the ACC. Not a lot of let's go out there and try to maybe get the best guy we think is available, but I guess just let's keep whatever we got rolling. Clemson promoting Brandon Streeter.
What? Brandon Streeter? You big Brandon Streeter fan? I can't even read the Tokars thing, Aslan. You can't make that bigger.
Who cares about Tony Tokars? Whatever. Tony who?
I like you're giving his email address out. Oh, wow. Joel Davis. He came correct at the headlines, too. Don't play Dion. Don't play Dion.
Straight cash, homie. What?
$500 American dollars, everybody. $500 American dollars from Joel Davis. 499.99. Oh,
read his message, Aslan.
All I want for Christmas is to be more like Corey Clark.
Good luck, Joel. Good luck. Apparently, all I want for Christmas is to be more like Joel Davis, dropping that kind of cash. And he did it on headlines too. He was all over headlines.
Dude,
Joel, you're the man. You're very, very kind, man. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate that. I don't even know what to say to that other than you're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you very much. Thank all of you guys for watching, but especially Joel Davis.
What?
Yeah,
Joel,
man, we got nice people.
I mean, Joel was dropping Benjis on you guys on headlines like 3 times. Like,
yeah, I know.
Boom, boom. I'm like, Joel just left me. I'm like, Joel just spurned me, left me for headlines. But no, Joel's here.
You know what I think we're going to do, Aslan? I was thinking about this. Not to take money out of our coffers because we like money too, but we can team up with Rising Spear, right? The new, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe have once a month or once every quarter, we have a show where we raise money, raise donations for Rising Spear. So Travis Hunter doesn't happen again. Come on, Aslan. What do you think? It gives the people, our loyal followers who obviously care deeply about Florida State football to watch this, an avenue to help out the program in their own way. And we could write a check or a Venmo it, or at least say we're going to Venmo it and keep it for ourselves. Either way, guys, you don't know. You're helping out Florida State either way. But I thought that would be a good idea now that this is a thing, right?
2 stipulations.
Okay.
First, it needs to be the Garnet program, the Garnet plan.
Yeah, that's the one where it's the pool. It's
Yeah.
for the charity stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's for the charitable donations.
Second stipulation, want to hand them the big check, like the golf Happy Gilmore
like the PGA Tour checks. Okay,
Yes.
fair. We got to find a place that prints checks like that. But yes, that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to endorse it on the back.
Yeah. I don't even know. Joel, what do you want to do, man? I mean, literally, what do you want to talk about? What are your thoughts? You need help with the Christmas list. Incredible.
Joel, you're the man.
Tokars
made Aslan speechless.
Yeah. I mean, making Corey speechless probably would be the real accomplishment here.
Yeah. Come on. I got to keep the show going.
Yeah, man. Everybody's. I guess maybe I got to just kind of get. Daryl's asking a lot of questions. Daryl want to know your top 4 receiver coaches on the hot board. I don't know if anybody has a receiver hot board coach.
Lawrence Dawsey, P-Dub. Look, man, honestly,
Dante Pimple. Maybe Yak. I don't know. Like David Johnson did coach receivers. I think he actually played receiver. I mean, you could move him and then get a running backs coach that you think is some sort of ace recruiter. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'm fine leaving Yak there and getting but I couldn't even tell you who I think is a great receivers coach. And I could tell you maybe like the Ohio State receivers coach, but why would he leave to come down to Florida State? The Alabama receivers coach. Why would, so I don't really know who's out there. Like, I don't know if USF's got a really good guy on the rise. But he was asking you. Anywho, he also says, how come we didn't sign any receivers, Corey? Alabama signed 9 and 2 recruiting classes. Yesterday we signed none.
Don't know. They're trying, I think. I mean, they thought Travis Hunter was one, or at least half of one, because he was definitely going to play both ways for them. And then that happened at the last moment. But, man, It's hard to explain. Now they got, they've just look, man. McLean, it might end up being something. I think you saw enough there to think, okay, there's some real potential there that he could be a guy. Destin Hill, again, is just he's a mirage. Those are the two guys they've signed in the last 2 years, right? Total. There's nobody else they brought in with this class, is there?
This one, no. 2021, they did not sign one receiver.
No, I know. I'm talking about the year before. So when Malik McLean's class, it was Malik McLean. It was
Josh Burrell.
Oh yeah, Josh Burrell, who didn't play. So yeah, man. And then you look at Portier and Williamson. It's just there's nothing there that really, really excites you. They're all young, so it's too early to make a judgment and say they can't play. You still have technically, four or five really young players on your roster that are at that position, but you don't feel like, other than McLean, you don't feel like you have anybody that could be a dude, that could be a 900-yard guy, a 12-touchdown guy. And that has to change. It's Florida State. It boggles the mind. Just like for years, you're like, how is Florida State so bad on the offensive line? How did this happen? Well, they've kind of gotten that shaped up. It's still not incredible, but you can tell a difference. They've got real players now. They're working at it. They need a couple of home run wide receiver portal kids. You got to find a couple. You've got to get a couple. You've got to get some. You can't go into next season with the same wide receiver group you had this last season. You just can't. It does a disservice to the whole team.
Did Jordan Travis do enough that you can use him as a bargaining chip? Is he a good in?
No.
That's part of the problem too.
But yeah, maybe. But look, if you're
it is. I mean, it's not maybe. It is part of the problem. I mean, he's not the sole problem. Listen, there's something's going on. Ron Dugan's not able to seal the deal on these guys. There has to be some sort of lapse in being able to create relationships. I don't know if they're not diverting enough funds to these kids. But how do you losing Devon Mortimer is absurd. To have a guy committed to you for that long and then he leaves you for Louisville. It's one thing if you lose in Alabama or Georgia, but to lose him to Louisville, that's just I don't know how you can even explain that away.
But also think about Florida State, that all the talent in this, he was ranked like the 31st, 34th best receiver in the country by Rivals.com. What's Florida State doing with one commitment at that position? And he's the 34th best guy. Like, but I do think if you're talking about trying to appeal to receivers and their parents and their high school coaches, the fact that Jordan Travis didn't throw for over 200 yards until the last 2 games of the season, I think, or 2 of the last 3 games of the season, whatever it was, that says something. You look around the country, these guys see dudes all over the country having 140 yards a game receiving, and Florida State, the leading receiver, will have, 50 yards. So that, I think that does play a part. But again, like as we suspected, when they're going into these homes, they're showing, hey, this is a one-on-one matchup. We schemed this up perfectly. This should be a 75-yard touchdown, but our guy can't get open. This is a one-on-one matchup that should be a walk-in touchdown. He's out the gate, as Jimbo would say. But our guys can't get open. If you're there, that's a touchdown. This is the offense we've created for you. We create one-on-one matchups. We're just looking. That's the reason we haven't thrown for that many yards, because we're not good at wide receiver. As soon as we get really good at wide receiver, like with you, then all of a sudden we're going to be throwing for a lot more yards. I think that's the sell job you have.
Oh, never mind. I saw Ron Dugan's photo on the front page of the website. Thought something happened.
No, it's just my story about them lacking numbers at wide receiver.
Come on, man. So I'll rattle some cages. Ask. Oh, I want a pound of flesh. King Mac, Corey, Aslan. Which players that we have signed in this class will see the field and make an immediate impact in 2022?
I think the only guys you could say for certain that are the guys that have the best chance are the 2 DBs, right? I don't know how to Azaria Thomas and then
Sam McCall.
Yeah, I think both those guys, like we always talk about, everybody else is basically in the front 7 or an offensive lineman, except for Duffy, and he's probably not going to play unless something goes wrong. So right now, as it stands right now with those 15 commits, I can't imagine anybody but those guys seeing significant playing time, at least early in the season. Occasionally there will be a lineman that's just so good he has to play even as a freshman. But right now, I would say those 2 have by far the best chance. And it's interesting they mentioned Thomas as an athlete, or he's listed as an athlete, because Norvell talked about him being a DB. He said he's going to start on defense, as in he's going to start his career on defense, but held out the possibility that he might be a receiver. And if you watch his highlights, yeah, man, he can move. Like, he's a guy that he's fluid at receiver. He's good. He's fast. He was really, most of his highlights on the thing that D-Rob did for us on signing day were wide receiver highlights. He's a really good player. Here you go, right here. Look how tall. I mean, he's got a wide receiver frame, and he can move. Like, that's not normal to be 6'3" and kind of have that kind of twitch and movement. So Norvell said as much on Wednesday, that he said it about Sam McCall too, but he really said it about this kid. Like, we've got to find a way to get the ball in his hands. But then he also said that he thinks he's going to start out on defense as a corner, but he can play anywhere. Look, man, I know it's high school. I don't know it. I know he's the Panhandle, right? I don't know what kind of competition he's playing against.
I still they play in one of the highest classifications, if not the highest classification. Yeah,
but just watching these highlights, does it look like Florida State has a lot of dudes that have some of that in them? Not a ton. So maybe he makes an impact on offense right away. Are we going to throw a fade right here? Oh, no, here you go. Watch this little move right here. Whoop. I mean, he's 6'3". He's not 5'8". I mean, that's impressive. Like, I don't know that they have guys like this. In fact, I know they don't have a lot of guys like this on their roster. So, and he's just running away from dudes. Now, again, I'm watching the guys that are chasing him. It didn't look like, Jamie Robinson and Kevin Noles chasing him there, but even still, I think that guy might be good enough at wide receiver that they give him a real chance. Which, hey, then we'll be saying Travis who? Travis who? Who cares? You got his, what's his name?
Azari Thomas.
Azari Thomas.
Come on, Shane! Come on, Shane, let's go!
He did it.
Let's go!
He did it. Kirk Dog in the house.
What?
Man, Rising Spear is going to be fired up with us. Rising Spear is going to be fired up. Everything's rising. Shane, you're the man. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. You know how I feel about you. You're a good dude. You're almost as cool as Michelle. But either way, you're a very good person. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you and everyone watching, but especially you. You and Joel.
Straight cash, homie.
Let's go.
So it's official. Dion's out of it. That was a great note. By was it Rob that gave you that note?
Yeah.
That was a great note, Rob. Dion's no longer getting played for donations. And I'm all for taking his number 2 down. I'd let Sam McCall wear number 2.
Oh gosh. I don't know, Joel or maybe Joel or Rob. Rob, let me know what we should play instead of Dion's Must Be the Money. Add it to the arsenal.
I mean, that's a good one. That's Shane's theme song.
We need, variety's a spice of life. Good Lord, you people. I love you all. Thank you, man. It's going to be a Merry Christmas at the Midtown offices. Oh, gosh. All right. What else do we got here? Kevin Coleman. I don't know, man. Here's the thing that I haven't read up too much on. I know we asked a bunch of questions yesterday to Mike Norvell about it, but apparently there isn't a nationwide, there aren't guardrails. There isn't a standardized rule for how you can do NIL. Right. So I don't know what kind of package deal Florida State can offer Kevin Coleman. So he flips. Although I don't know, has he committed to Miami? It just seems like he's probably trending towards Miami. I think in Florida, the schools cannot actively seek out third parties for enticements, whereas other states can. So,
well, and in some states, the coaches can actually talk about it and set it up. They can talk to, like I talked about, the guy that runs Rising Spear wanted to have a meeting with Norvell to talk about okay, these are the guys you need to focus on. Here are their numbers. Here's their contact information. Here's what we can set up for them. And then he was told, no, you cannot meet with Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell can't do that. And so with that in mind, other schools can, other states can. Florida's a little more regulated that way where Mike, Rising Spear can do whatever Rising Spear does, but not through Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell can't set it up. He can't really know about it. He can't talk to the player about it. But people in Mississippi, people in Texas can, and they sell it. And that's it. That's the difference.
Man, I just,
Yeah.
I got it's just there's so much. There's just so much. Man, a lot of people want to still talk about Deion. How does Deion come back from this, Corey?
Oh man, look, Deion did what Deion's trying to win football games at Jackson State, man, and he wants to be like. Here's the thing about Deion is when he took that job, I legitimately thought, why is he doing this? Like it didn't seem like a Deion thing to do to be a head coach, but clearly he's pretty good at it. At least so far, he's 11-1 and just signed the number 1 player in the country to Jackson State. So what's going to be really interesting. And he's trying to win games, which will help his career and will help that university. So I got, like I joked about in my column, he could have gone after the number 2 player in the country. He didn't, or number 3. He didn't have to be number 1, and what if Travis Hunter was ranked number 2? Would he have still gone out? Would it have still, you know what I mean? Like it was such a big deal to get the number 1 guy. But it would have been cool if he'd have gone after number 2 and said, I don't want to mess with my alma mater that much. They need the help. But Deion's got to worry about Deion because Deion's trying to win football games at Jackson State. I got no ill will towards him. And that was a joke about taking down his number because when you look at Deion, and I've said this for years, Bobby Bowden is the most important person in the dynasty. Mickey Andrews is number 2. Deion is number 3. What Deion did for this university in the football program starting in 1985, but really 87 to 88 when he became a superstar, Florida State's still reaping the rewards from that. That stadium was built in part because of Deion and the people that came to Florida State because of Deion. He made Florida State a cool place to go play. So as much as it stung and as much as it might not seem cool that one of your best ever player is taking one of your best ever recruits away, look, right now he's being paid by Jackson State. If he's being paid by Florida State, Travis Hunter would be at Florida State, but he's being paid by Jackson State. So that's where he's going to send that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to win games for Jackson State. So in the minds of Florida State fans, I don't know. I don't know what the overriding majority of fans feel about Deion right now. I mean, maybe they're just like a little upset, but I don't know that everybody's like written them off. Like, like I was joking about like getting rid of the number 2 up there.
No, they're not happy. I was going to say, I wonder if he was an interior defensive lineman, do you think it would change? Like, do you think he would not do that to Odell? Or is it still the same thing where listen, I love Jackson, Mississippi. I lived there for 4 years. I've got a lot of good friends that live there. I went to a lot of Jackson State games. It's a pretty cool atmosphere. It's pretty cool. That's not Deion Sanders' ceiling. That's not his ultimate end game. He wants to keep moving up. So he's got to do what he can to keep moving his career up to be a head coach.
That's what's going to be interesting. So
bizarre. So he could get Jordan. Yeah, man, this could have been like, come to Jackson State. I don't want to be here all that long. I know you don't want to be here, and then get your money, and then you can transfer and go play wherever you want, and then go to the league. God bless you, man. So who really knows what's going to happen at the end of all this? So that's why
we'd both be surprised if either one of them are there in 2024, right?
Right.
Like if Deion and Travis, like Deion, especially if this stays what it stays, and they end up with they win 11-1, and now they're bringing in the best player in the country. Well, they're probably going to win 10 or 11 games again, and then all of a sudden Deion's like, unlike 2 years ago when he had no head coaching experience, now he has coaching experience at the Division I level. I know it's FCS, but it's the Division I level, and he's won a ton of games, so he's an appealing candidate now. He becomes an appealing candidate at Power 5 schools, and I assume this is what he wants to do with his life for the next 10 years of his life is to be a college football head coach, I think. And if that's the case, then yeah, he might be able to name his job in a couple of years if this keeps up. So yeah, it's interesting. I kind of thought it was just kind of like I just didn't think that he had the personality maybe to be a head coach, but clearly he does. And he turned that program around, and they're really good. And now he just landed the number 1 player in the country. Now with some help from some outside sources. But you talked about if it was a defensive tackle. I don't know. I don't know if I know some people think he just hunted Florida State's best player. It's like, I'm going to go get him because I'm mad about them not hiring me.
Odell aspect. He doesn't know Marcus Woodson. He doesn't care about Mike Norvell, everybody. He doesn't. But I wonder if he knew that would affect Odell, if he might have, but
I think this kind of affects Odell, right? It's still Odell's school. It's still where Odell works. It's still his alma mater. Odell still wants to win games, and losing Travis Hunter hurts Odell in that regard. But I don't know if it was just Travis Hunter, or if it was Travis Hunter with a commitment to Florida State and he wanted some sort of revenge. I know Rich Eisen seems to think that, and he was quoted as The Athletic saying Florida State made a huge mistake by not hiring Deion Sanders when they had the chance. But I don't know if he's that
idolized Deion too, man. Listen, he wanted to come to Florida State, and he idolized Deion. Deion's a head coach. Deion get you paid, and then you can go.
Well,
do
if you're the
whatever
number one in the country and the best to ever do it is recruiting you, and you've got this other enticement that's out there. I mean, it kind of was like the perfect storm, really. It just, of course, it didn't happen last year when I'm sure the number one player in the country was committed to Alabama or Georgia. It happened this year when he happened to be committed to Florida State.
Well, hey, man, the thing, though, is you're 5-7. If you are 10-2, it's probably not happening. I mean, there's a lot of variables in the play.
Maybe. I mean, again, we don't know the deals. And I know Deion came out and said that all of it was a lie and it's not seven figures and it's laughable and all that. We'll see how it all shakes out. Clearly there was money involved. Lots of money, because we know there was money involved to come to Florida State, and there would have been money involved to go to Georgia. It's just it's the way of the world right now. So we know there's money involved. What the actual total is, we'll end up seeing. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. I was talking about something, then I forgot.
Yeah, that's okay. You know why?
Oh, there we go. The Lamoxon in the house.
Guys, this is a very special occasion. The Godfather himself has been kind enough to grace us with his presence. The Godfather. This is his damn house. He lives there. He sleeps 20 feet away.
Let's go, Corey. Come on, $200 more. Let's go.
We need to do a cut up of you reacting to all these donations. That'd be a fun YouTube clip. You just losing your mind. You gonna show it? Well, it's a podcast too.
What?
Oh, there we go.
Big ballin', smashing, making my ends.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to roll with that. For the Ed Limix, he said this is from Courtney. She says she loves you guys. Merry Christmas. Looking forward to next season. Go Noles. With two bills thrown at us. We're just racking up. Rising Spear.
DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. This dude, he's founded this company. It's called DeLuna Coffee.
It's a great one.
Noles, they're alums. They're boosters. They're fans, just like you and I. But they make awesome coffee. We appreciate their generosity. Help Noles out, fellow Nole fans. Check out the bundles. Get some cocoa. Get some of them espresso caramels. It's all there. Use the promo code WARCHANT15. You'll save 15%. Just do some Christmas shopping while you're watching us. You can do it online. Tick, 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 tick. Ed, love you. Courtney, love you too. Brett, you as well. The Lamoxon, as Corey would like to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much. You guys are the best.
Reliable resellers. Is it true that Travis Hunter has not sent his LOI yet, or is that just rumor?
According to if you go to the Rivals player rankings, the Rivals 100 or Rivals 250, they list all the ones that have signed, and it says signed by their names, and his still says verbal. But, I don't know that Rivals has somebody on the ground in Jackson, Mississippi, like covering Jackson State, that would know that for sure. But according to Rivals, and that's just according to Rivals, it says that he's still a verbal. But, Jackson State's already tweeted about it, which you're not really supposed to. Well, you're not supposed to do until they've signed. So if you go to see right there, it just says verbal. But I keep getting Jackson State and Jacksonville State confused because they both threw just straight up Mike Tyson haymakers at Florida State this year. But if you go to their Twitter account, they tweeted about Travis Hunter. They tweeted pictures of Travis Hunter, which if he hasn't sent his letter of intent in is illegal. You're not allowed to do that. So that leads me to believe that maybe they have gotten it and it just hasn't shown up on the Rivals server. But it's also, it is the number one player in the country. You got to verify that he's signed. I would think they would be doing that. But yeah, according to Rivals, he hasn't sent it in yet, but that's just Rivals. Right now, I have no reason to believe it would be that was such a monumental decision he made, an announcement he made, it would be more stunning for him now not to go through with it than it was for him to go through with it in the first place. Like, I can't imagine that that's not going to happen.
Nicholas Johns, car selfie guy. Mike Norvell offense did not look like this in Memphis. He needs a pocket passer. Kenny, listen, Conspiracy Aslan since day one has been, well, not since day one, but this season has kind of come up with this whole narrative in his head that Kenny was probably the guy that really was pushing for Jordan, or at least believed in him first.
Yeah.
And now that he's gone, and now you got a new offensive coordinator, which I think everybody on that staff appreciates Jordan because of Corey's point that he's made several times. Without Jordan Travis, this team probably is only going to win 3 games over the last 18 that they've played. Meanwhile, they've won 8. Woohoo.
Right. Hey, they won 8, though.
Dylan Gabriel from UCF is transferred to UCLA. Max Johnson's still out there. Spencer Rattler is committed to South Carolina. I don't know how that popped up. Sorry.
I did it. I liked it. I thought it was the first time I've ever done it, and I thought it was funny.
Go back. I'm sorry. We're answering go back. I don't even remember where it was. Anyhow, though, does this open the door for maybe Mike trying to reclaim, I don't know, something he's more comfortable, more familiar with at the quarterback position, or does he have to know by now that Jordan is the truth and the path forward?
No, I mean, look, you would think they're going to get a quarterback in the portal. They're certainly looking at one. Yes, he would like a pocket passer. Again, we can't say for sure that Jordan Travis isn't that guy because nobody would look good with those wide receivers. They might look better. It might be a little more competent looking, the passing game, but he's not working with great stuff. So you hope that no matter who they bring in at quarterback, that he'll have better people to throw to. But yeah, and I know some people are worried that maybe Dillingham would take, and I actually saw that comment that maybe Dillingham would take Jordan Travis to Oregon because he loves the guy so much and buys all his merchandise. Man, I don't think Jordan Travis right now is worried about not being the starting quarterback at Florida State. I think he thinks he's pretty entrenched with good reason. But they have to get somebody that can at least push him for the starting job and provide some real depth, because right now you're looking at Rodemaker and AJ Duffy.
Somebody asked earlier, is AJ Duffy going to beat him out? I don't know. I don't think. No, I mean, I should say, I made it like I said, I don't know. No.
That would be very surprising. Yeah. He might beat out Rodemaker, though, and be the number 2 guy.
Some guy says, Jimbo said it's always gone on, but people kept it hush-hush. I guarantee that's what Deion took advantage of with the he who shall not be. Yeah, man, they didn't do anything illegal. Although I don't know, Jimbo's almost saying that it is illegal. Like, you can't tell a player that you're going to set him up with something. But again, it varies from state to state. Go listen to the interview I did with Ron Dugans, man. Even Ron Dugans at the end of the interview, like, go scrub to like the last 30 seconds or so, last minute of it, talking about NIL with him. And this has always gone on. It's just the transparency. We don't want the transparency. We just don't.
Well, the problem now with the transparency is there's been a market set. There's never really been a market that we've known about. But now there's a market that's going to be known about by these players. And they're going to hear, oh, so-and-so got, like, it used to be all hush-hush. Now it's going to be, oh, so-and-so got a $150,000 deal, and you're only offering me $40,000? Okay, well, I'll go to Tennessee then, or I'll go to Michigan State. Like, it's out in the open now, so there's just no regulation at all. And I'm all for players getting paid. I know it creeps some people out. It should have creeped y'all out that coaches were making $12 million a year and the kids were making, getting paid in classes and books. That should have creeped everybody out when it became $1 billion business. It is the reality now. Players are going to get their money, which is fine. But like the NBA, like the NFL, like any other pro sport, which this essentially is, like any other pro sport, and it's the 4th biggest sport in the country, right? Maybe the 3rd. I don't know. With TV revenue and everything, it might be the 3rd biggest sport. They all have salary structures. They all have salary. Some of them have salary caps, but they all have structures and they police it. And there's regulations. Right now, this is just like there's no structure. There's no sheriff to control it, and so it's the Wild West, like we keep saying. And if it stays like this, I just can't fathom how it's not sustainable like it is right now. They will come up with some sort of regulations for somehow, one way or the other. They will come up with some sort of regulations where all these rising spears and these types of organizations, the Texas thing with the offensive line, they all have to like register with the NCAA. They have to hit a mark. They can only raise so much, whatever it is. The NCAA will have to know, and you'll have to, I don't know. I have no idea where this thing's going to go. But this was the first signing day with NIL, and it started with a bang when the number one player in the country decided to go FCS.
Steve, it's a good question.
None. Who's going to charge them? I mean, Norvell should have met with Rising Spear. Who's going to turn you in? And what is the penalty? The NCAA doesn't care. It's not an NCAA rule. It's a Florida rule. So it's a Florida law that you'd be breaking.
Right. He's asking what penalties
exist. Is he going to go to jail?
I would think at that time, maybe the NCAA does actually, if there's a state law that is talking about governing rules for amateur sports and how you're going to handle the payment of it, and you break that law, maybe that would be, the NCAA is obviously asleep at the wheel, but maybe that is the one single thing where they would kind of step in. But I don't know who calls you out on that. Who finds out that Mike Norvell went and sat down with
also say Mike Norvell sits down with Rising Spear and NCAA busts him for it and suspends him. And he's like, well, yeah, but I'm competing against Clemson, who Dabo gets to meet with everyone. How is this fair? Like, you know what I mean? Like we're all the uniformity has to be within not the states, but the conferences. The conference has to have uniformity, which, under the auspices or under the umbrella of the NCAA, there needs to be some uniformity. I'm all for players getting paid. Sure, there's no guarantee that Travis Hunter is ever going to play in the NFL. So he gets to he made himself a big enough name that this turned into a huge deal. I would not be surprised at all, like I said yesterday, if he has a Nike contract before his college career is up. So I'm all for that, but there has to be some uniformity. So it's not just it varies so much from state to state.
Tom's mad. Last one will go out. We've hit an hour.
You spelled Dion wrong, Tom. Come on, buddy. And I know, come on now, like let's. I get it. You're not happy with Dion. It was, I thought of another clever thing I could have done in my column, Aslan. I'm sure you didn't read it, but not only did I have the canary in the gold mine, but I had Dion, like from Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
But I spelled out TU, and I should have used the number 2. At 2. I mean, that would have been incredible. And I thought about it too late. I should go back and change it to the number 2.
We'll go out on this one, Mike Bonamy. This flip will go down as the beginning of the demise of college football. One of my good buddies, the one who stole his wife from Andrew Jones, the baseball player.
By the way, Andrew Jones's kid is like the number 1 high school baseball player in the country.
Okay, get on it,
yeah.
Meat. Get on it.
I think he's going to go pro, but hey, Meat, take a shot.
He texted me at 11 o'clock in the morning. Fire everyone now. Hire Urban. I don't care anymore. Let him live at the Kappa Delta house. College football is a dog and pony show now. So lots of people upset, and I'm not the optimist on this staff by any stretch, but I do think 2 to 3 years from now, it is not the doom and gloom that we have right now, which is real. It's real to feel it. It's real to feel that you're almost helpless.
This isn't the sport you grew up with,
right? You lost that. You lost. It's again, if you lost to Alabama or Georgia, it still sucks. But it's like, oh, okay, we get it. The prestige, the pedigree. They've got more money than we do. We understand that. But when Jackson State, an HBCU, an FCS program that doesn't get anywhere near the amount of revenue that you get, they're able to somehow leverage and get the number 1 prospect and steal them from you. Not literally, but end up getting the flip on you. You just wonder, like, where are we going from here? It unfortunately happened to Florida State. I think this is the case study. This is going to be hopefully the kind of the nexus that gets, because there has to be regulations. There's going to have to be some sort of universal rule of the way they're going to handle this sort of stuff. Does it happen in the next 2 years? I hope so. I don't think this is going to end up spiraling into just some sort of ridiculous landscape where every player is getting 6 figures and there's going to be walkouts if they don't get their payment on time, and they actually want to renegotiate for more money in season because they just scored 2 touchdowns last week. It looks like it's going to be really bad, but something like this, unfortunately, had to happen. Unfortunately, it was Florida State, but something like this, I think, had to happen, Corey, to get the real dialogue started, because this is only 6 months old, right? This only been around for 6 months. No one knew about anything.
That's what's crazy, is that it didn't take long. Like I was talking about, this was the very first NIL signing day, and it turned into that. So the NCAA kind of wanted to have its head in the sand and look the other way. Well, I guess if your head in the sand, it doesn't matter where you're looking. You can't see. So they had their head in the sand and didn't want to care about it, didn't want to think about it. Well, now you have rumors, And again, they're just rumors, but they're rumors that the number one player in the country is getting paid millions of dollars to go play football. And, just out of the, because he's being paid by a third party. And that is that is a wake-up call that, again, it's fine if somebody's willing to pay it, you're worth it. But they are going to have to regulate, and they will. I think this was the spark. This was the spark that got their head out of the sand. And it took one signing day. It took one moment. It took one announcement. It took one hat toss on the stage at Collins Hill High School for the NCAA to realize, oh boy, this is a real issue. And it's not necessarily a problem that Jackson State gets a great player or that Florida State loses a great player. I mean, that happens all the time. Like, they're allowed to get them, but it's the manner in which it was done. And then what does that mean for the next number one player? Is it going to be a bidding war where it's $5 to $10 million per player? And then where is that money coming from? Because like a coach we talked to yesterday, the money this money's just getting rerouted. So what's losing out on the money? Now, maybe not in Travis Hunter's sense, because he's getting paid by a third party to be a part of a documentary. But in other senses, it is. It's a booster money that's get rerouted from other things to go to pay players. And, they deserve a share of the pie. Absolutely. I 100% believe that. I don't know that the NCAA even came close to seeing this as they did not want their first big time signing day, their first signing day with NIL, to include rumors of millions of dollars. They just didn't. And that's what it is. So it'll be interesting what sort of regulations they try to come up with in the next, year. And what's interesting is Michael Alford was the chair of that when he worked for the NCAA, I think he worked at Central Michigan, but he chaired their committee on NIL. So I'm sure he might have seen this coming, but not many other people did. And, you talk about what it's going to come down to, because I remember people talking yesterday, talking to the assistant coaches and Norvell about relationships, and recruiting is all about relationships and building relationships. It's like, not anymore, man. You can have the best relationship in the world. If you're going to offer me a $40,000 package and this team's going to offer me $500,000, I don't care if you're my uncle. I'm going to go to the $500,000. I'm probably going to where the money is. So they just got to figure out how to police it. Even policing is a bad word. Just how to regulate it so that it's standard across the board. It's uniform across the board. And we'll see if they can do that. They probably won't. But I do understand the people that think that this is the demise of college football. I had multiple people that love college football, Georgia fans, that were texting me yesterday telling me it was gross. It's just gross that some kid got paid $2 million to not sign with another school. But that's just the reality we're in right now.
I lied. One last one. Abdel, bigger concern, lack of big men, or inexperienced.
Big mean. I like big mean. So he's talking about basketball.
Yeah, it's Abdel's account. That's what he does.
Big man. Losing Balsa was the biggest loss. I mean, you kind of knew. Well, no, obviously Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes was the biggest loss. But man, that guy's awesome. By the way, have you watched him in the NBA? Have you seen the numbers he's putting up? Good night. I think Balsa was. If they had Balsa, that's worth I don't know, at least another win. Not having a big man that can protect the rim is really hurting them right now on defense. And then, yeah, they're not great they're not great at point guard either. They're just not a great basketball team yet, but it's early. They might figure it out. They looked good last night against lowly Lipscomb.
Oh, by the way, we forgot to do Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week.
Well, that's Travis Hunter, who made history on Wednesday at noon at Collins Hill High School in Suwanee, Georgia, by choosing FCS Jackson State in former Florida State great Deion Sanders program.
Christina Roque, man, the save she made last week in the penalty kick shootout to allow Florida State to win their third. Do we call it College Cup, or do we just call it the National Championship?
National title, buddy. National championship.
The saves, I mean, she was nails. This is what she does. Just lines up on that line, hands out. I mean, the last one that she saved, she kicked her foot out. It's amazing.
Yeah, she was diving and still got her foot out. Yeah, that was that's So that's 3 for them. And it was cool for her because they lost in the shootout last year in the national championship game. I guess if I'm going to go with one, I'll stay with basketball and go with Anthony Polite. He struggled this season to start the year, but he had 25 points in the win over Lipscomb. Shot the ball really well. Maybe that'll get him going. He's obviously not going to average 25 points. He might not score over 20 again. But to see the ball go in the basket and to make some threes is a big deal because they need him. He's too good a shooter to be under 30% for the season from 3, which is what he was going into that game Wednesday night.
Live, one more. Is Corey holding a lightsaber? What is that?
It's a microphone that, what I realized was I put it here. Usually I hold it, but I put it here thinking it looks a little better, right? Because I'm not holding it. It just looks like a microphone. But then I realized, golly, I'm close to the camera.
Twist it.
I'm way too close to the camera. This isn't good for anyone. So I wanted to back up a little bit, but to do that, I've got to hold it. So yeah, this is what it looks like. It's cool, but this is my makeshift little setup. I don't have the pro setup like Aslan does.
All right, we're done. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Hit the thumbs up on the way out if you haven't done so already. The portal is open. We're going to continue to have recruiting.
Hey, one more thing. Can you go to my Twitter feed real quick and read my tweet? Because I want opinions on this because I was legitimately hurt by what this guy said to me. I want you to bring it up on the screen. I'll read it, but you can bring it up so people can read along. You got to scroll down though, buddy. I forget exactly. Okay. Was just taking a walk in my neighborhood. An older gentleman stopped me and told me I looked just like the guy from Pawn Stars. I've never seen the show, but I assumed it meant the guy from Pawn Stars must be a fit and sweet-faced, handsome man as well. What in the actual F? And F stands for another word. And then look at that guy.
Rick.
I mean,
it's Rick, man. It's Rick from Golden Silver.
Do you think
Punch.
I look like him?
No, it's the reason that they have Where in the World is SVP. Like every bald white guy.
Bald guys look at bald guys with goatee and a little salt. But he was like, have you ever been told that? First off, I thought he said porn stars. And I was like, man, keep walking, buddy. But then he said Pawn Stars. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've never seen it. And then the woman he was with was like,
that's an amazing reply.
That's Rick. Screw Rick. Screw you, Rick. I know you. Yeah, that's old Rick Jones. God love him. Man. That is a great reply, though.
That's amazing.
So
people, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
But I mean, like, I think I'm a better looking guy than that guy. And he, like, when you're comparing someone, when you see somebody who's like, hey, you just look like this dude. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't go up to a woman and be like, have you ever been told you look like Roseanne Barr? You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that to someone. But like, who would want to hear that they look like that guy? Anyway, that was when he said it, I'm like, man, I don't know. The woman next to him too also was like, the woman that was with him was like, well, you're a smaller version of him. And I'm like, oh, great. That must mean he's a big fat dude. And I looked it up, and of course, is he do you watch that show? Is he at least a cool guy?
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Okay. All right. Well, I like that then. I like that. But yeah, it was a little, if you can pull up real quick, can you pull up Joss Whedon? Because that's who I look like. That's my doppelganger. And we'll go out on that. I know the people, you probably already ended the podcast, but the people still watching. Joss Whedon is the guy that wrote some Marvel movies. I think he's directed some too. He wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I'll take that. Like especially when I had hair, that was me. Like it doesn't quite, like look at that one right there. That's me. No, not that one. The one to the left. If you go to the left, like that one right there. No, the one down. That's me from the side. That's me. Like, I get it. I look like Joss Whedon. I'll own that. I think I'm better looking than him, but he probably thinks he's better looking than me. But I don't look anything like the dude from Pawn Stars.
Well, somebody used to say you look like Adam Fuller. It's because Adam Fuller is a white guy who's got a bald head.
Like SVP. Yeah, I know. We all look alike. But hey, it was very unfortunate that somebody would stop me in the middle of a walk to tell me that I looked like a 300-pound reality TV show star.
Hopefully this doesn't get bad. People told me that I look like the guy that hosts Catfish, apparently, which I think is a little bit. I don't think I look like this guy.
He's a lot better looking than you.
Hey,
I'm just kidding. He is, but hey, I'm sorry, you got compared to a really good-looking dude with a great smile.
He looks like a made over leftover.
No, that guy looks great. He's got great jaws. Not like me. Not these fat jowls.
Hey, thanks to William McMillan, by the way. He threw up a $5 super sticker earlier that I forgot to pop up. So we appreciate you, William. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you're still here. Oh, Tom Morton's still here. Just want to say F. Sanders. Clayton Welsh drops in last second, too. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate you, man. He's a good guy. Clayton Welsh, what is the current rule on NIL? Can schools or boosters pay players, or does it have to come from a third party? Keep up the great work, guys.
Third party. But the difference, like we talked about earlier, is some schools and some states can tell the players about those third parties and can set up meetings with them, can actually talk to those third parties and broker a deal. The head coaches, the administrators, the school itself. In Florida, you cannot do that. So Rising Spear, which is Florida State's third party, it works completely independent of Florida State. Now they still go. I'll take that, Eric Angel. They still go. They get their information. Rising Spear isn't throwing money at 2 stars or 1 stars or preferred walk-ons. So they still get their information one way or the other. But it's not set up and it's not really brokered through Mike Norvell or his coaching staff or anything like that.
All right, we're really done this time.
Okay.
But we're not done as warchant.com. As transfer recruiting news happens, we will have it first over on warchant.com. We'll have video reaction from Michael Langston and whoever else we need to get reaction from. The Jeff Cameron Show will still keep rolling along 1 to 3 o'clock live on our YouTube channel, as well as 93.3 FM. The basketball team is playing. We'll be covering that. We're going nowhere. We'll probably drop out on maybe 1 pod next week. We'll do it as news as we see fit or something like that. Right, Corey? Is that what they say in the biz?
Exactly right. Yep, exactly right.
Thank you again to everybody. Thank you to Steve Johnson. Thank you to Ed Lemmix, Shane Kirkley, Shane, you and Ed and Shane, William McMillan, Joel Flippin Davis.
JD in the house.
And Rob Rathbun, Eric Angel, Weldon Taylor. We can't say, gosh, stop. We just want to all go home.
Don't
We
say
all want to
stop.
go home. The show's over, Mark Sermons. The show is over, Mark. What are you doing? You're crazy.
You're the best, Mark. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for getting that in. That was for the Pawn Star story, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, again, we thank you all for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week, I'm sure.